The Missing Chapter. This is a continuation of Simply Cat, a book, a process, a personal story, a series of artworks, paintings and installations which I've developed over the last 7 years. The first one in January 2016 and the last one in December 2022. Those of you who are familiar with Simply Cat will know that I might not have actually shared that first book or those first paintings had it not been for my dear late friend Even here. Looking back, I see I actually described Simply Cat as a love letter to myself. That was a series of works that visually tell the story of my process involving coming to terms with and understanding trauma. I was utilising my love of painting as a way of seeing. I was in dialogue with myself. I was both conscious and unconscious. I was using my intuition. I was expressing and making visible the language of my subconscious. So the Missing Chapter, this begins where Simply Cat finished off, which was on a beach in Hall with Even here, though I didn't actually realise this at the time. The Missing Chapter is a continuation of my journey into self-discovery, while also being actually much deeper and more general inquiry into the spirit of self and resilience. It's a series of paintings that are telling the story of a friendship, love, grief and renewal, and I call this an expression of love from and to my soul. This one here, Anam Kara, that actually means soul friend. By that I mean a soul connection that transcends love, a love that fully sees, accepts, embraces without judgment or expecting of anything in return. It's actually a love that's so pure and so freely given it has the power to transform. And the Missing Chapter is my search and understanding and finding a love that transforms is also within me. It is me, it's you, it's us. This is the love from where I now paint. It's deeply rooted in the feminine and in nature, in being. I actually feel most alive and most joyous when I'm tapping into my feminine energy. That's the space from where I'm creating. My visual language derives from I, we, us and our shared humanity. I use texture, light, movement, glass, steel, wire, twigs, fire, water, earth, sound, and all their inherent properties as paint. I understand them all as paint. And with this paint, I'm interpreting and expressing the subtle nuances of felt and embodied emotions. How are we shaped by our experiences? Can an art practice transform our understanding of the world and the way we see and experience things? Is it possible to create a common consciousness that will strengthen our interpersonal relationships and help us move society forward in a sustainable way? I actually believe that a sustainable society requires balance. We need both masculine and feminine energies to make a holistic choice. I also believe that many of the problems we face in the world today is due to a very systematic oppression of the feminine. And we have to strengthen these feminine qualities and give our ability to feel a strong legitimacy and validate it as much as our greatness and ability to rationalise. So I reference nature a lot because in nature, in the landscape, it's constantly changing, yet it's also in balance. The soft and the strong elements are equal and the masculine and feminine energies are strengthening each other in a continuous interaction. This series of paintings here, Mini Cat, My Being and I. These paintings move beyond my earlier purely intuitive paintings of Simply Cat to also consciously applying my passion for and scientific knowledge of colour. I'm seeing if I can transform the imprint that trauma has on my body and is still in my nervous system by consciously tapping into both my rational, logical thinking mind, the masculine, and my intuitive sensing, just knowing, the feminine. Can I actually use my knowledge of colour theory, apply it to trauma, and use it to transform the embodied emotions stored in my body and therefore transform my nervous system? This was an experiment I was doing on myself. So I understand colour as both a material and as a language. I also understand colour as light and as a sensation. Colours like trauma, actually, can be understood as sensations which are caused by features of the environment which stimulate our senses. Those who know colour theory know that colour lies at the intersection of light, or energy, with matter, the body. Trauma, for me, is embedded emotions, and it is emotional energy absorbed by and stored in my body. So in colour, we do not see the wavelength, we experience colour. In trauma, we do not see our emotional energy, but we actually experience physical sensations in our body. Without light, there's no colour. Without feeling, there's only numbness. So there are colours we experience, yet cannot perceive, the chimerical colours. And there are colours we cannot see, though we do know they exist, the hidden colours. When colour, or light, is absorbed, refracted or reflected by a body, the energy changes. And when you change the energy, you're altering the wavelength, and this in turn transforms your experience of that colour. So with Minicat, my being and I'm transforming the colours, or trauma, we cannot see, the ones that were absorbed by Minicat, refracted by being, and are now reflected in I. So that's why I'd like to draw your attention to this painting here, this one behind me, Dancing in the Moonlight, and there's a short film that goes with this too. The first layers of this painting are painted in complete darkness, so it's very, very tactile, painted just by feel. And since completing the painting, I've also used the painting itself as a visual score, to which I've added music and a soundscape. The soundscapes are taken from field recordings, which I've taken whilst exploring my local environment in and around Skarfastdammen in Rjukan and Hardangervidda National Park.